Want to welcome everyone to another episode of Behind the Shades. And I can't say she's my new best friend, but I definitely will say that she's going to be my best friend, Laura, with us here. So, Laura, why don't you tell everyone who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm originally from the southwest suburbs of Chicago, and that's such a hard question to answer. I mean, in what regard, in what parameter? Um, I grew up in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, and I went to college at Illinois State. I started there, and I earned my bachelor's degree in sociology. So, kind of I would say a normal from the outside viewpoint, normal childhood. Inside the home, it was not great. Um, I'll come back to that. So I continued on with Illinois State. I worked on a master's and finished it in sociology as well from Illinois State. And then I thought, well, okay, this is working out pretty well. So I continued on, went to Purdue, and I earned my doctorate in child development and family studies. And that was working out pretty well and I met someone online, veggiedate.com. Yes, veggiedate.com. I met a gentleman who's in the military, and he was in Bosnia at the time, working towards the peacekeeping effort there. This was back in, I won't date myself. um, we dated from a distance. He was stationed in Fort Bragg, redeployed back to Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And we got married and moved over to Germany. And I lived there for 8 years. While I was finishing up my dissertation, in my last year there, I knew I couldn't write for 8 hours a day. So I decided to start a second master's before I finished my doctorate. So I finished a second master's, finished my doctorate while I was finishing up my second master's in counseling and personnel services. So for 8 years, which was phenomenal. I would not give it up for anything. It was a beautiful time. The opportunity was nothing that I could ever ask for. And it was also the worst time in my life. So had a son, moved back to the States in 2009. And long story short, things spiraled out of control pretty bad. I ended up homeless about 4 years ago. I'm going on 5 years now. And it was the darkest, deepest, worst time of my life. And today it's not that way at all. Today is heavenly. It's a beautiful thing to know and understand how dark and deep it can go, and how wonderful it is to find the light and be able to breathe. Really take in a deep, deep breath and feel okay in my skin, because it wasn't like that for a very long time, probably for about 20 years.
I know you mentioned to me, Laura, that you had a difficult childhood, right? And I know the conversations you and I have had, it seems there was some competition, maybe, or some lack of attention also when you were growing up. And I know that you felt that you wanted to obtain that in different ways. And I'll let you touch on that as well. But I find it interesting that it seems like what you've taken in school kind of double back to that, right? You have the family studies, you have the childhood, right? Explain your childhood, and did your education relate back to that childhood that you shared with me?
I think you just encapsulated everything that's in my experience, for sure. My childhood was interesting. My parents, I was on welfare. My parents, our family, I experienced welfare and food stamps growing up. I thought we were well off. I was really wasn't for want in regard to. I had everything. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't, I had shelter. At the same time, by the time my parents divorced, I think I was maybe 4. It was really tough. I can remember. Three. I can remember 3 instances, maybe 4, of my first memories, and my mom can validate that they're accurate. I remember colors of carpeting and being picked up by the police at a friend's house, my sister's friend's house, or walking home alone, and just being in timeouts, just bizarre things. And then when we moved, it got pretty tough. I'm the youngest of four. And so my sister is 3 years older than me. My next sibling is 4 years older than me and my brother. And then I have another brother who's 7 years older than me. And quite confused as a child, as a young girl. There were instances in which my brother had taken initiative to place his hands on me, for lack of a better description. And for a long time, I didn't really know what to make of it. I know the age at which it happened primarily because when he was 13, he went to go live with my father. And the rest of us were living with my mom and my stepdad. So I know that it was a very condensed period of time. And I kind of think that I don't know that I blocked things out. I don't remember a lot of my childhood for some reason, but certain things that I do remember are very intense. I remember what I was told before my brother went to go live with my father that my other two siblings, the middle two, they viciously bullied my oldest brother, and because he was kind of like the nerdy one, and so when he left, I got the brunt of it. And my sister, she was consistently, I was the bubbly one, I was the happy one, and I was the one who made nice. I was the pleaser. And so my sister was the pretty one consistently growing up. So I was pretty much called, I was the redheaded stepchild. Fat and ugly for about 15 years. My sister growing up, she was the prom queen, the homecoming queen, voted most popular in high school, 3 years older than me. I started high school. She's a senior, I'm a freshman. And it pretty much stuck with me for a long time. And I certainly do not blame my siblings for any, because as children, we don't know. Being bullied, I understand now in hindsight what bullying means. It's essentially power. I mean, any type of discrimination, it's power. And being bullied, I felt like I had none, so I became a bully when I was in grammar school. Thankfully, I was able to make amends. Years later, I found the girls on Facebook, and they even said to me, "What are you talking about?" They didn't even know it, but my intent was that I wanted to hurt because I was hurting so much inside. And being able to make those amends, regardless, I mean, regardless of what they had said, how they felt, it was important for me to do that. So growing up as a teenager, by the time I was a sophomore in high school, I was the only child at home. And I remember vividly my bedroom, my pictures actually, my bedroom was in the basement. It was a finished basement. And I remember so clearly sitting on my bed in my bedroom, just sobbing at night, just so lonely, and just sobbing and not knowing how to make sense of how I felt so low and why I felt so alone and isolated. I never wanted to commit suicide. I thought about it. I mean, I thought about it. However, I didn't entertain the thoughts. So I used other means to sex, drugs, means to placate or numb myself as a teenager. Very promiscuous, a lot of drugs and alcohol.